gods and goddesses in training? Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations, also known as Sumed Chatterjee, from Primal Sutra. We explore ancient wisdom with modern practicality. I hope you're having an incredible day today, wherever it is you're tuning in from. Today, I got this little gift from a monk, and we got to eat at the monastery. So it was very, very powerful. Cue video here to just show you guys this amazing chanting before and after their meals. Also great food, okay? So my stomach is full and I'm ready to share with you guys a video. I am not going live here because I don't want it to affect my communication and the way that I'm delivering this message. So we will have lives after I come back, okay? I'm going to make these videos more regular until the 14th. So the godlike power of reparenting yourself, okay? So I'm gonna make sure that I link this back to what I learned today about karma. So our karma is created by our minds based on our intentions. This blew my mind, okay? This understanding, because the Buddha says that the mind is the creator of all things. When we link it back to reparenting, it's this idea, it's not that our parents didn't do a good job, it's the fact that our minds interpreted whatever they did as ineffective as to how we want to be, okay? So reparenting is all about understanding that we had traumas, we had different things in childhood growing up, right? There's a lot of people with dysfunctional families and so forth. However, I want you to think of reparenting very differently. I want you to think of it like, imagine that you were, right, the best version of you. Imagine your mother and your father, right, as the most loving, strongest, and wisest version of you, speaking back to you, reinterpreting your self-talk, right? So let's say you're struggling with something right now. Wouldn't you love it if you had the voice of a divine mother or a divine father in your mind, speaking to you at that time of distress, to remind you and comfort you and give you reassurance that everything is going to be okay? That's the real gift of reparenting. You guys see this? It's a gift towards you. So the inner child contains unmet needs and unresolved emotions a lot of times. Let's say you didn't get the kind of validation or emotional support that you needed growing up. You need to give yourself that as an adult, correct? So that's a big part of reparenting, is understanding that I'm here to gift myself this gift of reframing these negative thoughts that are coming up in my mind, which are a result of possibly my past karma, right? A lot of different imprints, impressions in the mind, right? So even our imputations are determined by our past karma, right? But again, karma is created by the mind. So this is actually reclaiming your karma, which is a Sanskrit word for action. And you find these negative thoughts just come in and bombard your mind. That's the time to reparent. That's the time to notice, how would the voice of a heavenly father, a God, speak to me in this moment? Now, I believe God is also masculine and feminine, right? It's both. It's a dual concept in my own understanding of this, right? A lot of the ideas of God is like that it's fully the masculine, or some people say, no, it's the divine mother. Others say, no, it's the divine father. I say it's aspects of both, right? Just like the animus and the anima, right? You have a masculine side and a feminine side, correct? Just like that, I believe the source, the creator. If the creator is our mind, then we are all tapping into God's mind, right? We were talking about that in our last few videos, about the law of one. So the thing is, do you know the real Sumed, the real Uncle Makara? Because everybody else has a different impression of me, correct? Some may say, oh, he's very handsome. Others may say, oh, look at that ugly guy, right? Some may say I'm too short, some may say I'm too tall. This is a teaching that we got from the Venerable Tachin. So kudos to this teaching. So you are different in everybody's mind, right? Everybody has a different impression of you. Since everybody has a different impression of you, who is the real you? So who is creating the world? So we're creating the world through our mind. Whose mind? The one discriminating it, the one who's able to discern, right? And those discriminations that we're making are also a part of our karma. Essentially, this is very deep inner child work, right? And it can be very off-putting for a lot of people, and they could push it away to the very end, right? They could just avoid it their entire lives. So what, you know? This happened to me when I was a child. You know, I got lost in a supermarket. I got some abuse happen to me. I had some random, occurrence with somebody. These thoughts, they loop in our minds and they imprint, Like I grew up in Thailand when I was very young, super young, maybe like kindergarten, class 1 or something, right? And so I had spicy food, noodles, right? From that young age. And you wonder, why is it that I'm so obsessed with spicy food, right? So that's a very deep insight that we can understand. So if you can take a trip down memory lane and maybe think of some of these nostalgic memories that you had when you were super young, and maybe you remember like faint images, right? Or maybe it's hazy, maybe it's a sound, maybe it's a light in your eyes, maybe it's a certain subtle sensation or a physiological reaction, right? Your heartbeat starts becoming faster, or you notice yourself kind of constricting inwards, right? As these old memories come up. It's your job to use the revision technique of Neville Goddard and conclude those thoughts, right? Conclude the revised thought, the revised memory, the way that you would have liked it to be. So you envision the original memory, and then you add to the memory as if it's ending on a good note. So if it's ending on a good note, it's leaving that final impression in your mind. And your mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, right? So this is how I would reparent. I'm just giving you a personal example, okay? This person isn't accepting of me. This is gonna trigger my loneliness growing up, of being an only child, of having very few, like really, really close friends, right? Of being kind of an outcast outlaw, right? Rebel growing up, not being like the other kids. It brings up all of those memories, right? So how would a loving father or a loving mother help this child who feels so alone, feels like they're not good enough, who feels like they're isolated? First of all, I would remind them that you're safe. Secondly, I would probably remind them that, listen, just because you're alone doesn't mean that you're disconnected from everybody. It means that you are experiencing the world through your own mind. And because you are led to believe that you are this way, that's why you feel so lonely. So that's how I would talk to my inner child. And it's a very loving voice, right? I'm not being critical. I'm not being harsh as a parent. I'm not being like the parent who's like giving myself detention and punishment for my actions. Instead, I'm praising the child and putting this past thought or negative thought into the frame of a loving parent. So this is exactly how you reparent yourself. You remind yourself you can be the voice of sanity. You remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. You can remind yourself that the lessons that you're going through are like little drops of water that finally fill up the bucket. Let's say you were bullied growing up. This memory haunts you, right? This guy picked you up, threw you in the trash, let's just say. That didn't happen to me, but I'm just giving an example, okay? Let's say that was the case. So ask yourself the same question. How would a loving parent handle that situation? How would you end that particular memory? Maybe you got out of the trash and stood up for yourself, right? Maybe you used a kamehameha on those bullies. Doesn't matter. Your imagination is free to do what it wants, right? So end it the way that you would have liked it. And let it stew, let it marinate in your mind before you sleep. Because that's when the subconscious mind is most active, right? So as you're doing this, you're changing the karmic imprints. Listen, the thing about karma, and I asked my father this, okay? It's a very deep, profound topic. If you have a malintent, there's a very minor kind of subtle karmic repercussion, but it's not huge, right? Because you haven't fully committed to the action yet. You're just thinking about it, right? And we all get thoughts like that. I want to, tie this guy up into a chair and torture him. Like, damn, she looks fine, right? I want to do unspeakable things to her, right? We get all of these random thoughts, right, coming up in the day. These intrusive thoughts. And we have to look at those thoughts and be like, wait a second. This is just a repeat of my karma, There's a story of there's fish and there's fishermen, and they keep producing the same karmic cycle. So some lifetimes, the fishermen become fish, and other lifetimes, the fish become fishermen, right? So this is the way that the karmic cycle sometimes just happens, right? But if you understand, it's all through your mind. You're imputing and creating your karma now. Even though you do have a karma, you have some say in this. You have some conscious effort, right? You have a consciousness that can change your reality. You don't have to stick to that old narrative, right? That you got divorced, lied to, that you got betrayed. We have to now come in as a parent and talk to ourselves like we're that little child and we're scared and we're afraid. What would you say? What would you do? How would you treat yourself to make sure that that child does not have to go through that pain alone? That's real reparenting, guys, right? Other videos are like, yay, just, say nice things about yourself. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, anybody can do that. Honestly, the best reparenting is gratitude, because you can just be like, rest in the emanation of that brilliance, And use affirmations too. We love using affirmations in Primal Sutra. It's one of the things that our adepts deeply believe in. If you're interested, you better join our mystery school, okay? primalsutramysteryschool.com. Go and sign up. We're going to teach you this stuff, right? The tantric riz, the ability to weave worlds, be a manifester in your own life, and also how to work with different beings that can support you and assist you on the spiritual journey, okay? So if you're interested in that, if that doesn't sound too wackadoodle for you, then absolutely reach out to me. It's going to change your world, man. It's going to change your world. I hope you have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Don't worry. I still love you. And may we never be the same again. Speak soon. We're all going to make it.